I've been thinking about this for a while, you know what I'm saying? And it seems that jokers need a street mentality rehabilitation boot camp tutorial on how to do it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of YouTubers and stuff like that. People come on YouTube, people will be, even not just in any other places, you know what I'm saying? Claim to be, they want to be out of the streets. They have a credible, with quote unquote, credible street background, so you know they were definitely in the streets. And I think a lot of the times is what it is that people just simply really don't know how to get out the streets. There's a lot of mistakes that could be made trying to get out of the street. You got to understand when you leave the streets, you can't be worried about the street. When you leave the streets, you have to disconnect from the streets. Why? Because you will be taken down eventually. Once you leave the streets, street business is not your business. Once you leave the streets, what people are doing in the streets, you don't need to know about. Once you leave the streets, because it's the final step of leaving the streets. I won't say the final step, but the second to last step of leaving the streets is that because there's two ways to be in the streets when you're still in the streets. One way to still be in the streets is you're out there doing street stuff, dumb stuff, trying to get money, get by, but you're in the streets, you might commit a crime, random, like any kind of street stuff. The other part of being in the streets is that you're just trying to get money. You know what I'm saying? You're not even doing no other unnecessary stuff, not trying to be gang affiliated, not trying to be affiliated or this and that, not trying to. The final step to getting out of the streets, the last step, the last hurdle you're going to have to jump is because if you're from the streets and you've been in the streets, grew up in the streets, you're going to be getting money from the streets. So that's going to be the last final step you have to conquer to really get yourself out of the damn streets. That's the last and final step. Once you make that transaction and transition to be able to get money outside of the streets, from that point on, you have no real reason to be connected to the goddamn street. From that point on, you have no reason to even want to be. You shouldn't. Everything that's in the streets by that point in your life should already not be romantic to you. You know what I'm saying? You should have already took enough losses. You should have already luckily have dodged enough curveballs. You know what I'm saying? You should have already did your time already. You've been locked up. You should have already been whatever victimized, shot, all that type of stuff. That all that stuff would have already usually happened by now, and you should already mentally have left the streets a long time ago. What people be trying to do is leave the streets, want to help the youth or say they want to help the youth, but still caught up in the goddamn streets. If you can't keep going back to the streets, first thing you got to do is my reception keeps going out and coming back in. You got to mentally rid yourself that the first thing is you got to rid yourself that there's anything in the streets is not worth it. That's the first thing you got to do. Sit down. God damn, my dog acting crazy. You need to get yourself mentally out of the goddamn streets because as long as you think there's something cool about the streets, there's something attractive about the streets, there's something that's there for you, you're never really going to be out of the streets. And if you really was in the streets, you got to be lucky enough to even not let your past catch up to you and keep going with that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to go through life with your past possibly catching up to you and however many different kind of ways depending on the stuff you was doing, you got to just still live with that regardless. You don't want to keep adding on and putting more and more, you know what I'm saying, stuff on top of that. Once you leave the streets, get out the goddamn streets. There ain't nothing in the streets for you once you, the only thing that could possibly be in the streets before you actually get out is your income. You know what I'm saying? The way you make money. That's the only thing that could possibly be left in the streets for you by the time you fully leave. So once, like I said in the beginning, that's the last step. Once you figure out how to get a income outside of the streets, there shouldn't be nothing in the goddamn streets for you to want to, nothing at all for you to think. You shouldn't be worried about who's doing what and who's hood. You shouldn't be trying to show up on some Debo stuff. You shouldn't be trying to act like you're still. It's not yours. You know what I'm saying? You're not part of that no more. And the longer people hold on to stuff like that, it will eventually take you down. You know what I'm saying? You just like for me, I got the thing that got me out the streets. You know what I'm saying? Was conspiracy theories. Believe it or not, that's why I was really heavy in my last channel, real heavy in the conspiracy. Still on this channel, but conspiracies what is what saved me from the streets because once I started seeing certain information, I started going down a rabbit hole, and it started to hit me. Damn, this stuff is all orchestrated. This stuff is all planned. The same people that been running this stuff since back in the day is still running it now, and if not them directly, their family. You know what I'm saying? So that woke me up. That was my beginning stages of waking up. So I started waking up mentally before I actually physically and wholeheartedly fully left the streets. It was a process. It definitely was a process. It took years. You know what I'm saying? I For years I started to wake up mentally before I was able to actually get myself wholeheartedly out of the streets. That's mentally, physically, everything. You know what I'm saying? It took years. It's a year's process depending on your situation. The last step I had to conquer, I mentally left the streets a long time before I actually left. But the last step that I had to conquer was the part where the income part. Once I got the income part figured out to where I figured out how to make a living outside of the streets legally, you know what I'm saying? Once that happened, that's when I was definitely 100% wholeheartedly, fully, completely out of the goddamn streets. And that's where you got to get to mentally. You can't keep dibbling because the worst thing you can do is leave the streets, find a legal way to make money, be successful at it legally, and then get caught up in the streets worrying about stupid street stuff. But once you leave the street, you gotta really look at this thing from a bird's eye view. You know what I'm saying? And once you look at it from a bird's eye view, you will realize that everything in the streets you looking down at from a bird's eye view is nonsense. All of it. It don't go no further than your block. That's as far as your streets go. You know what I'm saying? You might be a joker that might be on YouTube, or you might be connected to somebody famous, or you might be famous. That's a different story. You get caught up after you're already successful, but the regular street dude living the regular street life, no matter what happens in your street life and your street mentality on your street world, it ain't going hardly no further than your community. That's about it. You can shoot whoever, kill whoever, get shot yourself, rob whoever, make this kind of money, that kind of money. Looking at it from a bird's eye view, you will see that that's only known and affected and relevant in your little small, tiny community. That's it. That's as relevant as that gets. No matter how important you feel like you are in that community, as far as you are going is your little town and your little community, your little block. Once you realize that, you be like, damn, I've been trapped all this time. Mentally, they had me in this goddamn trap all this time. You know what I'm saying? You got to break out of that. You got to get out of it because there is nothing in the streets that is productive. I guarantee when I like telling 9 times out of 10, any money you get from the streets will be taken back one way or another, whether it's through court, whether it's through somebody robbing you, whether you had a loss, whether you get a bad re-up, something happened. 9 times out of 10, it will all go back eventually. You know what I'm saying? So get out there. You gotta train your mind is the main thing. Train your mind, get your mind right. That's where it starts. You know what I'm saying? You gotta first start looking at stuff like everything you thought was cool is not cool. Everything you thought was popping is not popping. Everything you thought was the shit is not the shit. You literally have to readjust your mental pleasures and your mental what you think is, you know what I'm saying, relevant and meaningful. Because in the streets, none of it is. I tell you what, people waste in the streets. People are going so hard to make money in the streets, robbing, stealing, killing, hustling. You know what I'm saying? Get money, and jokers have no idea of what to even do with money. You get money, you buy weed, you buy Jordans, you buy a car, you buy rims, you buy this. You ain't buying nothing productive at all. People making thousands of dollars in the streets a day, week, month, don't even know what to do with money. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, yo. Like, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Andrew Ernest, it was good. I'm just sitting there trying to school the people about leaving the streets because when you leave, it's a process, you know what I'm saying? But once you leave, you got to really be out. You can't be dibbling and dabbling because you're going to get caught back up. But that's about it, man. I'm about to get out of here, yo. But what's the new saying everybody keeps saying right now? You play stupid games or you whatever it is, you win stupid prizes. You know what I'm saying? You keep campaigning for drama, you will get elected at some point. That's what they like, something like that. People be saying now. That's the truth, man. You gotta. It ain't worth it, yo, because looking tough, being tough, all that stuff is just not worth it. It don't take you nowhere, man. Like, so I'm gonna probably end up doing a whole segment on this. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to put that out there real quick. You gave that drug life, making clean money, hold up, and got all kinds of insurance. Even so, yeah, me too. Same thing, man. Crypto, insurance, homeowner. You know what I'm saying? Just all. And I'm not trying to be on some. Just saying like I'm saying that to say life gets better once you leave the streets. Cause once you like I've been driving with no but suspended license for 14, 15 years, all kind of stuff trapped behind me. Once you get past all the type of stuff, you start building your credit up. You start to realize you get access to stuff you running around in the streets, risking your life every day for. Just getting your credit built up, you know what I'm saying? Getting a job and some work history. You have access to way more than you have in the streets because you're in the streets making drug money, illegal money. You can't do nothing with it besides other street stuff. Anything you buy got to be in somebody else's name. You know what I'm saying? Just like Nelly said on the Country Grammar song, he's like, got the title from my mama, put the whip on my own name now. You know what I'm saying? That feels good when you can do stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Get the credit score 725 and better. You know what I mean? But like Nelly said, got the title from my mama, put the whip on my own name now. Stuff like that makes you feel good when you can do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You can just show up at a car dealership, buy a car, run your credit, all your information, your address matches your ID. You got a credit cards, you got a bank account, all your stuff is the same address, all your information is correct. Stuff like that is a better quality of life. You can't do that in the streets with drug. Cause it's just you just can't do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't just show up with money out of nowhere. Even if you got a bank account, you just can't have drug money, put it in the bank, and then you still can't do nothing with it. Because people, you trying to buy houses and stuff, they want to know where the money come from. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Moral to the story is once you get out of the streets, you know what I'm saying, and do it the right way, it feels better. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. People gotta get off the instant gratification thing. IG, Instagram, instant gratification. Stuff that feels good right now is usually not going to be what's beneficial in the long run. You know what I'm saying? You got to get used to stuff taking a little bit more time, maybe. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm gonna probably do a whole. I'm gonna break the different levels of leaving the streets down. I'm gonna do it in different segments. You know what I'm saying? To break it down and touch on specific points for each video is what I'm gonna do. I think people need to hear that, man, because I be seeing people. I think they really do think they left the streets and really do want to leave the streets. You know what I'm saying? But I think people just really don't know how to go about doing it. Once you leave the streets, you got to be out of the goddamn streets. You got to leave it behind. It don't exist. You know what I'm saying? You don't go there unless you need to. That's for family or something like that. You don't. You shouldn't care about who's doing what in the hood and this and that. And it's just not relevant to your situation. You got to get a better quality of thinking, better quality of life. You know what I'm saying? Better quality of existence, better quality of just being alive. You know what I mean? So that's about it. Shout out to everybody that came through. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate it. I can see that yeah, Andrew Ernest, appreciate coming through. A couple comments in there, but everybody, you know what I'm saying, be safe out there. Hit the like button once you hear this, man.